Okay guys, so it's been quite a while. Figured I'd do an update on the Wagoneer. So, that's basically what I got. Radiator, came with dual electric fans, about 190 bucks on Amazon, and put an LS in it. Engine went in pretty smoothly. Got new pulleys, new alternator, new power steering, and brand new water pump, throttle body, intake and everything's been clean. All the heads been clean, new head gaskets. Cleaned up the wiring harness, made a fuse box, flashed the ECM, took the wire loom off so I can get rid of all the excess wiring. I mean, the truck starts, it runs, but it doesn't run very good. It like sputters, it skips, it doesn't idle smoothly, it doesn't want to idle half the time, and I'm having major electrical problems. So when I turn the starter over, I hear click, like, and then like the battery would die like that. I didn't know it was possible for it to die that fast, but it did. So I think something with the starter or the relay inside the car, something is shorting out, causing the battery to drain. But yeah, I've had this engine for 7 months in this car, and I'm already on my third battery. So that's definitely something I don't feel like dicking around with right now. So I think the starter down here is definitely a different setup, because I can see on the starter down there, the solenoid is built into the starter. That's where the terminals hook up to. But my original starter, the solenoid was separate. So I'm pretty sure there are quite a few ranges between the cranking amps of those two different starters. Looking at the fuse block, you got all your spark plug relays, the fuel injector relays, and right here is your ECM fuse. 20 amps, usually it's a yellow fuse, but it's right next to your fuel pump relay and your spark plug relays. And so right there's the ECM fuse. For a while, my ECM wasn't getting signal to the spark plugs, therefore my engine wouldn't fire. And I pulled that fuse out, and sure enough, it was blown. Put a new one in, fired right up. Coming over to the alternator, you have this terminal on the back, which goes straight to the battery right here. And then you have this wire, which goes to your ignition. So when you turn it to Excel, like the click before you start it, like it's run or Excel. It's different on older vehicles, but that's the wire you hook it up to. On the Wagoneer, it should be a red and white striped wire is your Excel wire. So I have all my accessories hooked up to that. And the red wire that went to your alternator, your original one, that is constant power all the time. I wouldn't recommend hooking it up to that wire because your new alternator is running off the ignition, but your old alternator, the little diode inside is a little different. Inside the vehicle, I got my OBD2 hooked up. I plugged it in. It threw a couple codes, but it didn't throw any misfiring codes. So I know it's not like major engine problems. The only code I ever got was a map sensor, and I think like throttle or something. I'm not really sure. But so you got four wires on here. I think so one's definitely a power, one's a ground, and one is signal. I forgot what the fourth one is. I'll check. So the fourth wire is your Excel wire. So when you turn the key, that's what turns the OBD connection on. So right here, I got this tan wire, which is my ground, and then I have a pink wire somewhere running to my constant power, and that which is what goes to the battery. And I have a green wire in here. The signal wire to the OBD is pin 58 on the ECM. That's your signal wire to the OBD. A couple things you're going to want to know about the fuel system. So if you come over here, you see this? That's your fuel pressure regulator. There's two different models. You got the kind I have where this little vacuum port comes off the back. Usually the Avalanches, 2003 and up, have these types. But if you have one that comes out the side, where the vacuum line comes out the side here, that came from a Yukon, a GMC. And on my setup, you have the feed line and the return line. Some models, they have returnless, but in my case, I have feed and return. So the return line you're definitely going to have to hook up, but the feed line goes straight to your fuel pump. And the fuel pressure you're going to want to see is between 55 to 60 pounds PSI on these LS motors. I've been having low fuel pressure. I've been getting just right at 50. If you get low pressure and if your engine oil is mixing with your gas, which is what I'm also getting, try looking at your fuel pressure regulator. I'm pretty sure mine is no good. If you come over here, you see this? These are your grounds. The thing about GM, there's 96 to 01, there's 02 to 09, I think, something like that, and then there's generation 3, which is like 2010 to 2014. I think they're on their 4th gen now, I'm not really sure. But the thing is with first generations, they've been crazy on wiring problems and grounding problems. So if you're having grounding problems, try looking at these. And on the wiring harness, you should have 3 grounds. One will be in the front of the engine. There will be 2 more in the back of the engine, grounded to the aluminum head. And then you have a ground strap that goes to your chassis, obviously. Did some work on my transmission. About $1,200 for a rebuild. It's just $1,000 if you don't need a torque converter, but it's $1,200. Extra $200 for the torque converter. So I had that redone. Transmission works great. It's mainly just the engine that's giving me problems. And trans case is in fairly good shape. Check the fluid, it'll still blue like it should be. These require a special type of fluid. I forgot what the name of it was. I think it's called like Cortec or something, I'm not really sure. And then I had my drive shaft shortened for about $70. So, I mean, that was pretty cheap. And drain the oil, put new oil in it. Runs fairly decent, but it smokes terribly bad. I wish I could start it up and show you guys, but I'm having battery issues as usual. I've been having electrical problems with this thing ever since day one. But I think I have a clip in it on my phone still, and I'm gonna show you guys that real quick just so you can get a rough idea of what it sounds like. The video I'm about to show you guys is my car running without mufflers. So that's as far as the engine goes. I've done other stuff too, like a bumper, put a new bumper on. I like the way that looks. Makes the car look happy. Put a snorkel on here, you know, that's pretty cool. Have it hooked up and everything. Not too bad. And then you come to the back. You have an Amazon bumper. I paid about $200 for it on Amazon, and the one in the front I paid $200 as well. So that's $400 altogether. These bumpers are made for a TJ, but I was able to get working on my Jeep. So the Wagoneers have a little cross member in the back here, so I just drilled holes wherever I needed and drilled them right in. They come out the other side. The one thing you gotta watch out for is these frame mounts right here. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time getting your bolts in. So that's about it for that. Interior is relatively the same. You know, I got, you know, my same gauge cluster. Half my gauges quit working because of my new engine. I put this plate here. This wasn't always there. I also have a toggle switch. This is what turns on my fuse block, my relays, because if you hook it up to your key, the older cars are designed to where if you start it, everything shuts off. The only thing that works is a starter. So I don't have an Excel system on here. So if I hook my fuse up to the key and you turn the key and you start it, you know how everything in your car shuts off? That's so it doesn't drain all the power to your battery because it's trying to pull all the amps to the starter. If everything stayed on where you're starting your car, it will possibly melt your battery, burn all your fuses, and fuck everything up. So that's why everything in your car shuts off when you start the car, for those of you that didn't know that. So I have a separate switch because if I turn the key, the relays would shut off. I'm not allowing spark as you turn the car over, therefore my engine will never start. So I just have a one-way switch right here. So it's got 2 wires on the back of it. One goes straight to the battery, and the other goes to pin A9 on my fuse block. Pin A9 is your ignition wire. That's what turns everything on and allows your car to start. So if you look at this extra fuse block I have, so on the back you have this. That's where all your fuel injectors and coil packs go. And pin A9 is somewhere over here. So you're going to have to keep this block for pin A9. It should be a thickish, kind of thick pink wire. Almost like the size of this. And it should just come off the back there. And then you need that wire, pin A9, and you need constant power to your fuse block. So those two wires, just two wires, is all you need to get your engine to start. If you had your engine sitting on an engine stand or a crate, you could start it just by these two wires. Stay tuned, and more videos are on the way. Thanks for watching.